Welcome back to our health and fitness discussions. Today we are going to talk about compound and supersets. These are power as well as time-saving sets. We've talked about time-saving sets in the past, talking about pyramid training, talking about circuit training. So today we are going to talk about compound and supersets, which are also considered power sets, ones that are very, very intense. So what are they? A compound set are successive exercises performed without rest for the same muscle groups or non-opposing muscle groups. Often confused with supersets, compound sets can work for any muscle group, not just opposing body parts or even the same body part, which is how they are most commonly used. Whereas a superset is when you do two exercises back to back for opposing muscle groups without rest. So the difference, compound set is same muscle groups, superset is this opposite muscle groups. So you're doing two different exercises, or 2 to 3 different exercises, and doing either the same muscle groups or opposing muscle groups. Supersets are often confused as a compound set. So keep that one in mind. So, some examples of what compound sets and supersets are. A compound set may be lat pull down for 10 reps at 200 pounds, then pull-ups for 8 reps at body weight, and then lat pull down again for 10 reps at 200 pounds. That might be a compound set. So no rest in between the lat pull downs and pull-ups, and then no rest between the pull-ups and lat pull down. You are just going from one to the next. This is really focusing a lot on the lats, all right? And so that is the purpose of these compound sets, is to really focus in and create a lot of intensity for that particular muscle group. And so because you're changing the biomechanics slightly between lat pull down and pull-ups, you are changing that motion that occurs. So that is what a compound set is all about. It's about changing intensities throughout your specific workout. Alternatively, you can also do this in an endurance set. So if you're swimming, if you're cycling, if you're running, if you're on the elliptical, whatever it may be, you can also do this in an endurance set. So you might do a 30-second sprint, all-out sprint. No rest, obviously, between the sprint and the tempo. Then you drop back to a 60-second tempo, which is more of kind of like a slower race pace or a fast. And then you have 120 seconds of active rest. That goes with the lat pull down, pull-ups, and lat pull downs as well. You would want to get lots of rest in between each set. So you do lat pull down, pull-ups, lat pull down with no rest. You take somewhere between 2 and 5 minutes rest, and then you do that again, depending on how intense it was. So compound sets can also be done in an endurance set or a cardio sense. So we're talking about either strength training or we're talking about cardio. So either which one is acceptable to be able to do a compound set. This is all about changing intensities and allowing your body to learn how to change intensities. This is actually very important in the cardio sense, especially with performance athletes. When we talk about performance athletes and we talk about being able to push that last little bit. So if you're doing a 400-meter race or if you're doing an 800-meter race, you might be pushing really hard right out of the gate. And then you kind of settle into that hard pace throughout the race, and then you have to push all-out effort in that last 50 yards. And so this compound sets allow you to learn how to change those intensities during a race. On the other hand, superset. Superset is changing exercises. So, and this is again with no rest. 30 push-ups, 10 pull-ups. This is a great workout that I love to do, where you drop down. All right, you drop down by this particular one doesn't really show it, but I love the workout I love to do is 30 push-ups, 10 pull-ups, then 27 push-ups, then 9 pull-ups. And you keep going down by 3 push-ups and 1 pull-up up until you get down to 3 push-ups and 1 pull-up. That is a superset. So this one is giving an example of 30 push-ups, 10 pull-ups, 20 push-ups, 6 pull-ups. All right, and that way you can, while your push-up muscles are resting as you're doing a pull-up, then you do pull-ups, or then you do push-ups, and as you're doing push-ups, your pull-up muscles are resting. Generally speaking, it's still very intense, but that is a superset, being able to rotate between opposing exercises and opposing muscle groups. So they are time-saving sets. They develop high-intensity resistance. They create high workloads. It stimulates high muscle growth, and there's a minimal amount of rest time between exercises. Not between sets. If you're doing between sets, especially with compound sets, you do take some rest in between sets. But especially with supersets, where you're just rotating between the two, you're not taking really that much rest at all in between exercises. So the difference is compound sets blast the same muscle groups multiple times in one set, and then you have high rest in between sets. Whereas supersets, on the other hand, supersets rotate between opposite muscle groups, not the same muscle group, opposite muscle groups, and you have high volume sets, minimal set rests. So you're having less rest in between sets and doing much more volume, many more sets of a superset versus a compound set, which is more about blasting the same muscle group at a very high intensity and then taking more rest in between those sets. So that is compound and supersets. Compound set, again, different exercises with the same muscle groups, minimal rest. Superset, same exercise or same exercises with opposite muscle groups. All right. Time-saving set, they both are, so both work very high intensities, slightly different high intensities, but very high intensities. Both have minimal rest in between exercises. All right. Compound sets are all about more rest between sets. Supersets are less rest between sets. So that is the summary between compound and supersets. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you in the next discussion.